Third time's a charm?
What's that?
I said third time's a charm?
Yeah, it should be. If we're lucky.
Bruce Wayne?
Look here. Does it say you're live?
It says I'm live.
Okay. I just walked out of the room, so it's not that much lag.
I don't see that I have anyone in here yet.
And I can't hear it. Okay, keep talking.
So I'm gonna wait a little bit
Okay, yep,
until I see some people enter into the chat room. Monday before Christmas maybe isn't the best way to run a live.
Oh, it looks better, Kara, too.
At least Jess is here. Thank you for making me not feel like a loser. This is hanging out in 2020.
It does look better.
Yes, third time here, just trying to make sure things were all squared away. We'll see if a few other people enter the room. How we doing, everyone? Look, I got Bruce Wayne with me tonight, because here's the thing, he was with me all weekend, and then when I come home from work, this poor dog just wants nothing else to hang out with me, so I feel really bad that I'm taking away from his time right now. So he also gets to be on the live stream hanging out with everyone here tonight. But I did want to hop on because I didn't film any YouTube videos this weekend. I normally do my videos on the weekend for you guys because I work during the week. Duh, if you're new here, I do work during the week. So I always try to like get you guys content on the weekend, but this weekend I really just needed a weekend to like not be in a creative mindset. And I also just got to thinking I haven't done a live in a long time. Like the last lives I've done have all been my Buff Bunny launches, which are like some of the most funnest things that I do here on YouTube. I actually really love doing those lives. And I wanted to just do a live, not like promoting anything, just kind of talking to you guys and kind of checking in, doing kind of like a mental health update, like check in with you guys and heading into the holidays, heading into the new year, seeing how everyone's feeling. So in the chat box, hey everyone, I see you guys are entering in now. So if you have questions and want to ask me a question, honestly, anything at all, I'm here to just hang out with you guys tonight for a little bit. So yeah, grab yourself a little drink if you want, and I can sit here and chit chat to you guys, no problems, but I do have a little ginger ale. I was gonna get a glass of wine, but I'm like, it's Monday night. I feel in a good way. I started my day at the gym today. I actually don't normally go to the gym on Mondays. That's one habit that I kind of like got out of this past year. Like I started taking Monday rest days. I mostly blame Jason because he's a Monday rest day guy, but I just love starting my work week so much more with going to the gym on a Monday. Like I just feel like, if you guys follow me on Instagram, like a badass bitch if I actually start my day in that kind of way. So I feel good that I started my day at the gym. The gym's reopened here in New York for us. So I didn't go back right away, but going back this past weekend was so nice. And now I want nothing to do with my basement gym. But I did spoil myself and I bought myself a Peloton. I have gone back and forth with it for so long, you guys. Basically since kind of pre-COVID, I've been toying with getting something like that. If you don't know, I have a running history, a running background, so many of you probably would have thought, why didn't you get a treadmill? But like quite honestly, the older I get and like thinking more about my joints and stuff like that, I'm more into like cycling over running, unfortunately. So I have a Peloton coming this weekend. Merry Christmas to me. I'm not saying that to brag. I feel very fortunate I was able to get one, but I'm really excited to use it because I honestly haven't been doing any cardio, and that can make you feel some kind of way. Like I do, you guys are all asking about my hair, so thank you so much. Today was I washed my hair kind of day, but honestly, I didn't take much time to style it. I used a curling iron today, which is why I think it looks like, I always have, this is my good side, and this is my janky side. And then you don't want to see the back of my hair. The back of my hair is equivalent to like the back of the Christmas tree. Like it don't look good, okay? She's not well kept back there. We don't worry about it because no one's looking at it. We just make sure the front looks good. But I actually do prefer a curling wand, so... Anyways, thank you guys for joining in tonight. I know it's Monday. I didn't know who was going to be around and all that good stuff. what's for dinner tonight? Actually, Jason was so sweet and he made me some air fried shrimps. So when I got home from work, I literally got to sit right down and he made me some shrimp. So I ate those, and then I'll probably, what else do I have in there? I might make up a little salad or something afterwards. I went to Trader Joe's yesterday, so I bought some salad mix. I have their holiday hash. If you guys haven't tried that, that's a really good find. I really do enjoy that. Jan, no plans at the moment. Tiffany asked if it's worth the price to get a dietitian for your first competition, being that you're on a budget. Honestly, here's my thoughts on competing. I don't think you need a dietitian per se to prep you through competition prep. I would say just make sure, and I know, whoa, a dietitian's not recommending a dietitian. I absolutely recommend dietitians. However, for a competition prep, a dietitian is ideal. I do actually work with first-time competitors. I work with competitors and lifestyle clients, but you know, there are a lot of good coaches out there as well who maybe aren't RDs, but are very well versed in what it takes to get you to the stage looking your best. Are they going to always consider your health? Not necessarily, but honestly, getting to the bodybuilding stage isn't always about health, and that's just the honest truth of it. So I do think it's worth the money to at least invest into some type of coach, someone who does have some experience, have your best interest in mind, because it's not just about getting to the stage, it's also how you navigate things after a bodybuilding competition. And for those of you that are here that aren't into bodybuilding, maybe you've entered a weight loss phase before and you've struggled and kind of stopped that weight loss phase, it can be quite a struggle. It can take a toll on your mental health in particular. So having someone in your corner to support you, to guide you, to be a second set of eyes, I really do think is advantageous and worth the money. Competing is expensive, hands down. If you're going to invest that much money into the sport, I say invest into a coach or someone who can work with you and guide you well. I didn't get to watch the Olympia. I wish I would have, because they did live stream it. I was just trying to like catch little snippets on like Instagram and stuff like that. I feel like very out of touch with IFBB. I never really followed bodybuilding or anything else other than bikini, to be quite honest with you. And I wasn't really up to speed with the newer girls. Like, I haven't been following it as closely. And let me tell you why. Here's why. Because for myself, as I have like grown and kind of developed into who I am as a person, and I started bodybuilding, you guys, when I started this channel in 2011. So it's been a long road for me. And I feel like, and I'm not saying I'm never going to compete again. Look at me. I keep like playing with myself over here. Not to say I won't ever compete again, but I just feel like I once identified only with that, and I feel there's so much more to me as a person now, just even on my social media spaces. So I unfollowed a lot of people that were just strictly bodybuilder content, because that really wasn't something I was getting something out of. So with that being said, I feel like I'm kind of out of touch with what girls are winning what shows and who's kind of the top of the bikini division, although I do follow, like I follow Janet, who won. My tried and trues like Ashley Kaltwatzer, I'll always really adore her and think she looks phenomenal. Who else was up there? There's some other girls I follow, but I'm not as in it as I once was, I'll be honest with you. Can you guys hear Bruce Wayne snoring? Oh, I just woke him up. He's legit like sleeping very hard right now. But yeah, I didn't get to watch it, but I was actually supposed to go to the Olympia, all right? I should have been there. Jason and I were potentially going. We were going to help out Mark at his booth down there and promote their new brand, the Big O. But with New York traveling stipulations, it was just going to be way too difficult. So maybe next year we'll get to go again. S says, what not to eat if you have suspected IBS? Are there any foods that trigger it? That's, I wish there was like a quick answer for that one. Honestly, IBS is such a challenging medical condition, and it is very specific to the individual. So There's IBS of the type that it gives you diarrhea, and then there's IBS that it gives you constipation. So if you're more so towards the diarrhea side of things, you kind of have to pay attention to what may be triggering it for you. There aren't really go-to foods that are definites for avoiding for IBS. It really is so super individualized. And the other thing that you'll notice as well as based on your environmental conditions, stressors, things like that, it can exacerbate things. So one day eating a bowl of oatmeal, you may be good to go. The next day, if you are totally stressed, things are in chaos, and you have that bowl of oatmeal, it could set it off and you could have an issue. So this is a good time for you to really pay a lot of attention to what you're consuming. This is when I do find food tracking or journaling so critical and actually helpful for you to kind of document what you're eating, times a day, how much you're eating, spices, sauces, every little nitty gritty that you're adding to your foods, and then starting to write down your bowel movements and your patterns there. It's really the only way you're going to lock it down for you, because no doctor or health practitioner is going to be able to tell you what exactly it is. So it's the process of first looking at everything you're consuming, trying to see if you can spot some things that maybe aren't working, and then, going through potentially an elimination phase with some of those potentially triggering foods. So it's a long, tedious process, but it will be worth it if you are struggling. Let's see. Jillian got a treadmill this week. That's awesome. So I still love to run. I used to be able to run. Literally, I would train for marathons, you guys, on a treadmill. Like, I loved logging those treadmill miles. I have ran like almost a full marathon on a treadmill. That's how much of a diehard I was. And this was like way before like we had access to everything we have access to. Like, I would buy Us Weekly magazines. I'd spend a crap ton of money on like paparazzi magazines, which are just junk, but I would just look at those while I would run, and sometimes listen to music or watch TV, but for the most part, I would zone out, and I just find running very therapeutic. In terms of running on a treadmill in my basement, that's not so motivating to me. I'd rather run outside. So I feel like using the cycle bike in my house, I'll be more motivated to do it. So hopefully I love it, you guys. Hopefully I love it. What are my thoughts? Robin asked what my thoughts are on a 14-week prep when you need to lose 15 pounds for the stage. I think that's probably a pretty good time frame. Look, you're asking the girl who's literally never prepped more than 12 weeks for a bodybuilding competition. I truly did all of my preps in 12 weeks or less. And I'm not saying that that's ideal though, so let me get there. But every prep I did 8 to 12 weeks. 12 weeks longest, and probably the highest weight I had to lose was 17. I think I've lost upwards of 15 to 17 pounds. That was going into my pro show, probably about the 15-pound mark. It wasn't even that much of a struggle, but what I will say is I didn't come in as competitive as I could have. So a 14-week prep could be doable. And again, everyone's body type is so super different. So it's going to vary. I've always told myself if I was going to ever prep again, I would actually do a longer prep. Like, I would probably do more of like a 16 to 18 week prep, just because I feel like it would give me that time to really hone in on consistency. If I needed to take a mini diet break or anything like that, I feel like it'd give me a little bit more time to tweak. So more is always better, I feel like, unless you're someone that falls off track very quickly. Even still though, I think 14 to 16 weeks is a decent amount of time. And 15 pounds is kind of like the standard, honestly. Most people's like off-season weight is anywhere from like 10 to 15 pounds. Getting higher than that will make it a little bit challenging because you're talking about potentially a 1 pound per week weight loss that's needed. So LA Customs has a Connie Corso. What's your Connie Corso's name? Let us know. Let us know in the chat box. Marina, I do help with competition prep. Honestly, like, it's funny because a lot of people think I only work with competitors. Like, I think I'm still mostly known as a bodybuilding girl, which is totally fine because it will always be part of me. But the majority of the folks that I work with are lifestyle clients, but I do love working with my competitors. They're honestly the most They're the most fun because they're a little bit simpler, because the end goal is a little bit more black and white, and what we have to do to get there is a little bit more black and white, whereas with my lifestyle clients, it's not that black and white, because I'm trying to shape behaviors and patterns for the long term, so that can take a little bit more time than like, no, we're cutting calories regardless of how you feel. Like, it's a totally different approach, so it's kind of always fun for me to work with both types of clients. But yeah, I do. So if anyone's interested, you can send me an email over at Calorie Fit Life. That's also my email at Gmail, to fill out an inquiry and see if we'd be a good fit. Madison Murphy, have I ever had an ED? No, I have not. I can tell you, if you've followed me at all, I have self-disclosed though that I definitely did struggle with, like, I would say body dysmorphia for a long time, and just kind of like a disordered relationship with, or not disordered, but a bad relationship with food essentially. But no, never diagnosed, never that extreme, but I definitely had my own challenges with food and with my body that I had to work through. So that's why I'm like so super passionate about working with clients that kind of are still in that bad mindset about food, with food being good, bad, needing to have cheat days, all that kind of stuff. And these were terms I used to use too, but let me tell you, they are so harmful and hindering to your long-term progress. So, Jess asks, have I ever had bad knee pain? If so, what helps it stay at bay? And how's my shoulder? Yes, actually, I have had like my struggles with knee pain. Interestingly enough, when I broke my shoulder, because this guy ran right through me, not his fault, it was my fault. When that happened, I also fell on my knee. And even before that, I did have some like varying pain in my knees. Like, it was not consistent. It wasn't necessarily after I ran. And how I dealt with it literally has always been easing up for me. It's never been like, ooh, work through the pain and do more. Like, again, the older I get, the more I'm just trying to be smart about my body and the longevity of what I want to be able to do. That's why even when I was doing marathons, I look back now and I'm so glad I handled myself the way I did, and that I never did more like multiple marathons after marathons. I always gave myself ample time to recover. What I will say is my nutrition was not as good as it could have been during the kind of like the heat of the moment. No, during like the high points of my marathon training, like my nutrition was not the best. I was vegetarian, and I was not a great vegetarian where I was properly like fueling my body and my muscles for recovery. So unfortunately, nothing I can do about it now except continue to be smart. I find that BioFreeze sometimes helps, or sometimes I'll like wrap my knees if I need to. That's when I take a look at my shoes and make sure, like, if I've done too much mileage on them, need to swap them out, things like that. The other thing that's really helped me too with like any like muscle aches and pains, especially with COVID, because my training has been so like in terms of intensity, it's been up and down all over the place. I do use Pervitum Hemp Daily. You guys can get that at tigerfitness.com. It is available right now. I do have a link. You guys can check it out in any of my YouTube videos. But that is a CBD-based product, or a hemp product, and it actually really does help with reducing inflammation. It helps with aches and pains. So I always reach for that. Like, I'm not someone that takes Aleve or anything like that. I almost never do. So Hemp Daily is something I take that I have found to be really helpful. ER says, what are your go-to resources if someone wants to research a nutrition topic? Suggestions for scientific journal references would be okay. Oh my gosh, I haven't had to think about a question like that in an awfully long time. Thankfully, I don't have to do research papers anymore. But I used to use Google Scholar, so that's kind of like a random thing. But instead of like plugging stuff into Google, you can do Google Scholar and type in your topic, and Google Scholar will actually give you all the like studies and different websites for the studies. The one thing I'll say is, like, when I was in college, I had access to a lot of the different journals. I mean, I'm a member of the the Academy for Nutrition and Dietetics, so I do have free access to all their studies, but a lot of the journals that are out there, you do have to pay to get access to them. So if you're a student, that's really cool because you can take advantage and use all those resources. Usually your colleges pay for access to all those sites so that you can get the full study instead of just an abstract and then having to pay $20 for the full article. That always annoyed me, but yeah, that would be my best option for just a starting point that I can think of off the top of my head, because I don't have to I don't look stuff up that in depth. I do a lot of like researching through meta-analysis because it's just easier for me to kind of look at the studies that have already been done, looking at multiple studies. So Olivia asked, how did I grow your IG following? It's funny to think about that, answering that question, because part of me wants to say I don't really know, because I don't remember at one point going, oh my God, look at my Instagram account growing. And like, I remember people asking me, like, do people like think you're famous or like stop you? And like, do people recognize you all the time? And I'm like, what? Like, it's never clicked to me that I have a quote unquote big following, because I just never think about it like that. I know that sounds silly. But with Instagram, I think the biggest thing for me, my YouTube is clearly a larger following than my Instagram, which I actually think YouTube's a lot harder to grow versus Instagram. For Instagram, for me, I think a lot of my growth quite honestly happened being in so many different bodybuilding shows. Honestly, people like looking at pretty shiny things, lean things, glamorous things, and a lot of my growth came from sharing my motivation and my drive to be on that stage and to be a competitor and to share my ups and downs and to share myself when I was prepping and my progress with losing weight and people being able to see me kind of slowly achieve those goals. And I think that's what drove people to want to follow me, because it was like they could see that I didn't, I talk the talk, but I walk the walk. Like, I was making goals, I was sticking to it, and I was following through. And there's something so very attractive about that, if you will. And it's not just for bodybuilding, it's anyone in general. I do the same now with some of my peers that I follow in the dietitian space. I see what they're doing, I see that they're achieving things, and I'm just so impressed by it. And so I want to follow them, and I want to see what they're doing, and I want to see what they're sharing and how they're achieving it. So I think that's one way that I grew my Instagram. I think also just cross promotion between different social media platforms, always kind of being in different places, reminding you to go over here and to follow me over there. Being somewhat consistent. I'm really not as consistent as I'd like to be, but I do the best I can over there. I have a decent amount of consistency where I think people are like, oh, I'll follow her. She, posts on a relatively consistent basis. So that's probably like there's so many like tips I can give for like growing social media. I'm clearly not a pro at it, but I've done an okay job for the amount of time I'd say I actually do dedicate towards it. But yeah, it's so much more saturated now than it was when I very first started. So RT said, is CBD help you with sleep, and what else is it helpful for? Yeah, CBD definitely helps me with sleep too. So it can help with inflammation if you're anyone that's struggling with any kind of chronic pain, aches and pains, if you're someone that struggles with anxiety. And I get anxiety. 2020 has been a very anxious year for me, I have to say. I've always had underlying anxiety, but I think it's really come out this past year, and sleep has really been compromised for me. So utilizing some type of CBD like hemp daily can be really helpful for me at nighttime to just kind of like breathe and calm down and kind of shut my mind off a bit. And good sleep is everything, you guys. Like, I don't know how old y'all are, but let me tell you, it's so much different than when I was in college and could go on 4 hours of sleep, or sometimes less than that, doing projects all night long, studying, somehow manage to still do good on tests, work 3 jobs. I don't know how people do all that. Like, you just can't tolerate it as much the older you get. And sleep is just so critical to your health and everything internally in your body. So I prioritize that. Oftentimes I prioritize that over my workouts. And that might sound crazy. And that would have sounded crazy to 22-year-old Kara, but, you know, as I stand here, I know how essential it is for me to sleep well in terms of me being a good person. Like, you don't want to be around me if I don't sleep well. So, anyways. Oh, do I work with teens with competition prep? I've worked with someone that was like 17 or 18. I don't think I've worked with anyone younger than that, but I did make sure that their parents and their family was on board, was okay, knew they were working with me, all that kind of stuff. So again, if you guys have any kind of questions, you want me to send you my coaching rates or talk more details about that, definitely shoot me an email at karacoreyfitlife@gmail.com. Lisa asks, how many days a week of exercise do you recommend for a 41-year-old woman and a calorie intake? Well, I can't just like spout out what your caloric intake should be. It really is so individualized, and it's based on so many different factors. So, you know, even your old equations of like height, weight, age, gender, activity level, it's all just a guesstimate. So quite honestly, you can find a lot of different calculators online to help you calculate your caloric intake. Way back in the day, we used Harris-Benedict equation, and then it kind of switched over to something called Mifflin-St. Jean. I think they're still kind of using that nowadays, but a lot of stuff's automatic, you guys. You don't have to do hard calculations for it. You can find something online and get yourself an estimate. And it's just that. It's an estimate. It's not a perfect science. I've had calculators estimate me at needing 1,200 calories or else I was going to gain weight. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. I eat way more than that and I maintain my weight. So don't get like upset about it, but just kind of try things out and see what it comes up with for you. Or the other thing you can do too is just track what you currently do. See if you're maintaining. Are you gaining? Are you losing? And without even tracking or coming up with calorie counts, just take a look at what you're consuming and are you maintaining? Where are you at? And make some adjustments from there. You know, if every week you feel like you're continuing to gain weight, take a look back at what you normally eat, what your habits are, and see where you can make some changes. In terms of exercise, you know, most of us should, regardless of age, we should be moving every day. We should try to get some activity in every day. It is going to vary based on your goals. So I don't feel like there's one set recommendation, but on average, like 30 to 60 minutes of movement most days of the week is something to strive for. And that can be challenging for a lot of people. That can be, even for myself, I sit all day. I sit all day driving. I'm at work sitting. I come home. I'm usually sitting too. But so think about what you're currently doing for exercise and what's realistic for you. Because I could sit here and tell you to go to the gym 6 days a week. If there's no possible way for you to get to the gym 6 days a week, it's just not feasible, it's not motivating to you, you're never gonna do it. So it doesn't matter what I say. It has to be about what you're willing to do and what you're able to do within your lifestyle. Whatever's going on in your life, Lisa, you know, we all have different things going on, different priorities. Figuring out how to make it work within your lifestyle is really gonna be key, and then kind of fine-tuning it from there, you know? Let's see. Nicole asked, is it possible to overcome food addiction without professional assistance? So food addiction is kind of still one of those like not totally acceptable terms, I would say, in the field. Like it's not, you've got a school of people who think it's real and a school of people that say it's not totally supported yet. But if you are struggling with food, your relationship with food, I would say it depends to what degree you're talking about whether or not you need professional assistance. If it's come to the level of an eating disorder, whether it's binge eating disorder, I definitely have a hair in my eye, so I apologize. If it feels disordered, then you probably do need some professional guidance. There are plenty of people that have issues with food that are able to kind of work their way through their issues without any professional assistance, but it definitely depends on what degree you're talking to. So the fact that you're asking that, I would say it may be worth reaching out to someone. Again, does it cost money? Yes, but it's not only your physical health, but it's also your mental health that is impacted by all of this. I just have to get this hair out of my eye, you guys, because it's driving me nuts.
I'll be a placeholder.
Is it a hair or an eyelash? Like, how do I get random hairs in my eyeball? What is that?
Oh, that's actually...
Oh, okay, sweetie. Bruce Wayne's just snoozing back there. I love it.
Jason?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
All right. Oh, who is Roman? What's with all the messages? I guess I haven't like scrolled all the way down yet, you guys, so I'm a little bit behind. How much do I have to eat if I want to gain more muscle mass? Lorenzo asks. Here's the thing, you guys. I may be a dietitian, but those aren't questions that I can just like quickly answer. They're so very specific to you as a person, honestly. So it's, I don't know. I'd have to work with you as your coach. And I'm not saying that as a sales plug because I'm not really looking for clients. I'm just saying in order to figure out what it would take for you to gain more muscle mass, it's going to depend on a certain program for you in the gym, because gaining muscle mass is not just about what you eat. It's also about what you're doing in the gym and everything else in your lifestyle. Because again, things like stress, sleep, all of that impacts your ability to gain and maintain your muscle mass. So Crystalina, I don't know if I said that right, but that's a really pretty name. Favorite running shoes? I just started running and it's overwhelming looking for shoes. Okay, so I haven't been like a real runner in a long time, but lately I've loved Adidas Boost to run in. But back in the day when I was running marathons, my favorites were Mizuno's. And Mizuno's have a very particular like arch support in them, so they're not for everyone, or Brooks. I really love Brooks running shoes. I have like a more narrow foot, so it definitely depends on if you're a narrow foot or like a wide foot in terms of your running shoe. I always like a good amount of arch support, but Brooks, Mizuno, and Adidas, to me, were the ones that would last the longest. So I love Nike for the looks of them, but they're a horrible running shoe in my opinion. They don't last. They beat themselves down. Like within 1 month, I feel like they've gone to crap as a runner. So those are definitely not my top picks. Nike, I love you, but not for running. Oh, let's see. Jennifer says, I live an hour from Syracuse. Cool. I'm reversing out from a show currently, but I miss eating out with my boyfriend. What do you recommend when eating out to be macro friendly? I love eating out, you guys. Like, I am someone that's always loved eating out. As soon as I like got a job and can make my own money, I've always been finding ways to eat out healthy. So it kind of comes down to like places. I feel like there's a lot of places you can order healthy from, but in terms of like precision with tracking macros, that can be a little bit more variable. But some of my favorite things I would say to order are things like steak. I always love like a good grilled protein. So whether that be steak, chicken, I do a lot of seafood when I go out to eat. I usually get any kind of protein grilled, and depending on what I'm like looking for in terms of macros, I'll ask them to grill it plain. If they can use spray, no butter, no oils, things like that added to it if they can avoid it. And then you can always do like steamed vegetables on the side if they can do it. I still have a hair on my eye. I'm so sorry, you guys. I think I know what it is. I think I have glitter in my eye. Do any of my girls here wear glitter eyeshadow? I think that's my problem. So yeah, doing like steamed vegetables with it and like a potato, like a sweet potato or a baked potato. That's a very bro meal, but it's one of my favorites eating out. I think it's usually fairly easy to track. Steak is always my number one when I go out to eat. I'll sometimes do salads, but quite honestly, salads when you go out to eat, I feel like there's not much in them and they're not that filling and satisfying. I don't want to pay money to go out to eat and not be full. You picking up what I'm putting down? That's just not my cup of tea. So my favorite meal, if I'm just gonna like go out and eat and enjoy it, is getting steak with sweet potato fries and a glass of wine, and maybe like a little vegetable on the side too. That's my all-time favorite. Maybe not necessarily the most macro friendly, but my favorite. Ashley asked, what types of videos do you watch on YouTube, if I even have time to watch? Yeah, so I don't watch as much as I once used to, and I think a lot of that is because I haven't been doing cardio, and I honestly think maybe that's why some of my video views have been down too, because I feel like I've always heard that people enjoy watching my videos during their cardio, and I'm a fitness person, if you will, and I just honestly, the amount of cardio I've done in 2020, I feel like has been very minimal, and it's been very different for me. Like for me over the summer, cardio was getting out on my bike and going for a long bike ride, whereas previously it was being in a gym on a stepper, and that's when I would watch YouTube. So I definitely don't watch the same amount I used to. I mostly watch makeup YouTubers. I know there could be better ways that I could be spending my time. Like Jason, for instance, he's a learner. He's always on YouTube watching other people that he can learn things from. Growth tactics, things to grow your business, even things like real estate that maybe we'll someday dive into. Like he's just a constant learner. And for me, I'm just like, nah, I want to shut my mind off and watch someone slap some makeup on, because that just is so therapeutic and relaxing for me. So I think it's part of like the anxiousness of me. Like I want to watch something that I know what to expect. And sometimes I just want to watch something that doesn't challenge me to think. As bad as that sounds, I'm just being honest. Watching makeup videos is like my favorite. I find it very like relaxing. So I don't really even watch a lot of fitness anymore. Happy holidays, Catherine. Thank you for joining in. The live will be posted on my channel, so you guys can watch this at your leisure. You don't have to hang out the whole time with me. Jillian is a fairly new follower, enjoying your IG and YouTube and appreciating live chat tonight. Thank you. I'm always so interested to know like what makes you guys follow me, and I always like to hear from you too, like what you want to learn and what you want to know, because I think I have been doing this for so long, you guys, and I don't mean social media, I just mean my journey, like my fitness nutrition journey, and I've evolved so much from the beginning of it that I'm not even the same person, not even remotely the same person I once was. And so I kind of lose sight of how I used to be, and thinking about some of the things, you know, that I now know that are so easy to me that I could probably teach you guys that might be helpful for you. I hope that makes sense, but I'm just such a different person now in terms of my love for my body, my love for fitness, but being able to balance it all with living my life outside of that. Whereas I do feel like there was one point it was just only about fitness. Like fitness was my self-worth, you know? So I'm glad I'm not in that place anymore, but I just feel like for my newer followers, I always want to know, like, what can I teach you? Like, what do you find is helpful? Coming from a dietitian, coming from someone with my expertise, like, please always send me any kind of topics, because I'll get a little rusty and lack that creativity, because I'm just like, what's there to know? Like, everybody knows everything. Like, I don't know what I can teach you, which I know that's not the case, but sometimes I just, especially in 2020, I get a little stuck with what to teach you guys and what to talk about. So, Cheyenne asks, how big does your Connie Corso get? That big meat pie is 155 pounds. He's 3.5 years old, so he's fully grown. He's not going to grow anymore. And I'd say, like, weight-wise, he's pretty consistent. He's a pretty good eater, like, consistently. And if he skips a couple meals, you'll know. Like, he'll start to look like a little sucked in. I wish that worked for humans, too, but it just doesn't. Look at that big meat pie just back there sleeping away. Cheyenne, if you haven't checked out Jason's channel, my husband's channel, it's literally all about how we've trained Bruce Wayne to be such a well-behaved dog, in addition to a lot of tips on raw feeding. So he's honestly the expert. It's not even me trying to promote Jay. It's just he's the expert on it. I can't speak to it as well. So, Lana says her 15-year-old daughter wants to change her eating habits, and you want her to be safe and make healthy choices. Would you work with someone that young? Yeah, I would, as long as And here's the thing, as long as the daughter was wanting to, and that you were comfortable with it, it would almost be something where I'd want to work with the two of you together at that age. I think it's important that whatever your daughter would be learning, and even if it wasn't from me, if it was from another dietitian, I think it'd be important that you're part of that conversation, because you as her mother, you're helping to kind of mold and shape some of her eating habits, and some of what she's seeing you do may reflect in some of the choices that she makes. So it's always important to kind of have more of like a family approach when it comes to working with someone that young. Let's see. Yeah, the raw feeding stuff for the dog, I'm gonna let Jason handle that. So send him those questions or check out his YouTube videos. You literally just search Jason Corey. His channel's blown up this year. I'm so super proud of him. Like, he's really turned what could be looked at as a crapshoot of a year. He's turned it into a blessing in a lot of ways. So it's been really cool. His channel is really good, and he edits all his stuff, and his videos are so much different than mine. Really high, fast-paced, and like engaging. So, what is that noise I'm hearing? Oh, I hear something like moving. We got a dreamer. I'm like, why does it sound like the couch is gonna break? Oh, it's because the dog is sleep running. Let's see. Jess, in terms of what I think about heavy metal tests and heavy metal detox, that's a really interesting thing that's not really taught at a normal like level of schooling. We learned about it a bit more in my integrative nutrition course that I took, and there is a lot to be said for heavy metal toxicity. So you're probably going to have to go to someone more holistic if you're not already working with someone to have that tested, but I do definitely think it's worthwhile. In terms of detoxing from it, I'm not super familiar with that. I imagine it would be a lot of supplementation. You could probably feel relatively sick going through the detoxification phase, but again, it's not something I've actually worked with personally. And asked if I find myself comparing myself to others on Instagram and other social media platforms, and how does it affect you? I can say I used to do this a lot more. Like, I used to be really bad about it when I was a bit more insecure. It would be a lie if I said I don't ever still do it. It really would be a lie. And if there's people that never do it, that is incredible. What I've done is try to remind myself that I am different, and even if someone's out there and they're new to the game and they're doing the same thing as me, and maybe it's doing way better than what I put out, that's okay. Like, we're all different people, and I understand that. Like, I feel like I'm kind of in a weird place in the social media space, and I could be wrong, but I feel like I'm just in a different like age group. Like, my audience is different, so I feel like there's just going to be a different audience for me, and not everyone is going to necessarily like engage in my stuff as they would engage in someone else's stuff, if that makes sense. So I try not to compare. Everyone's different. I feel like there's enough room for all of us, even though like fitness per se got very saturated over, not necessarily 2020, but it's a very saturated space in social media. I don't know, I try not to let it affect me. I feel like I don't as much anymore. If I find that I'm ever looking at someone's page and it is always kind of making me feel bad, or I'm comparing myself, like, even if I think they're a good person and they've done nothing wrong, if I can't control that, I will unfollow people, because it's just not worth my headspace. If I know I'm always going to be playing the comparison game, then for me, sometimes I just have to omit it. Like, it's just not something I need to look at. I'll unfollow the channel, I'll unfollow the person. It is what it is. You know, at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. So I kind of just try not to look at stuff. I try not to look at what other people's things do. You know, for example, like Buff Bunny review videos, for instance. There's tons of us athletes out there. And so I've looked before to see how other people's like clothing reviews do, and then I get into like the comparison, like, wow, theirs did so much, and what purpose does it serve? You know, instead of comparing it in a bad way, I might look to other stuff and say, hey, what did they do differently? Is there anything I like that they did that maybe I want to implement here? Is there something I could be doing to improve my content? And I try to just take more of my own spin to it of what I want to do. I bring it back to me as a creator, as a person, what I feel proud of, what I feel comfortable doing, and I don't focus so much on the rest. You know, it is what it is when it comes to the numbers and the likes and the followers and all that kind of stuff. Dave asks, is it safe if glycogen levels get too low on a keto diet? Look, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge advocate for the keto diet, but if you're on a keto diet, the odds are your glycogen levels are going to get depleted because you're probably not intaking much of any glucose whatsoever. So is it safe? I don't know. It depends. It depends on the person. I myself have never put myself through a keto diet. I don't plan to. Your brain's main source of fuel is carbohydrates. So that for me is a place I don't want to be, because cognitively speaking, when you deplete those glycogen levels, your performance is impacted, your cognition can be impacted. You know, they say with keto, those adaptations do occur where you burn the ketones and you use that for fuel, and you kind of get that different energy source that your body then adjusts and adapts to. We're very adaptable. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's dangerous or it's safe. I can't say one or the other. I don't know if that helps. I thought Bruce was a coat. Oops. I love it. I know. I thought he was a coat at first too. I forgot he was back there. Let me know as well in the live chat if you guys will want me to do more of these lives. I know it's kind of interesting because everyone has such different questions for me, you know, from what hair tool I use to like eating habits to social media questions. So it's all very different kind of stuff on here. So if you guys do like these, let me know. It's easy enough for me to just sit here and kind of engage with you. So I thought it would be fun, but let me know what you think. Let me wet the whistle. Oh yes. Ashley Chapman, I wish Jaclyn Hill did more videos, but I can't help it. I love her. Hot mess or not, I love her stuff. Thank you, Sherry. I actually wanted to change for you guys before I hopped on here tonight. I wanted to put on pajamas, but yeah, this is the work outfit. This top kind of drives me a little bit nuts. Jason says it's a little bit of like a pirate shirt. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, thank you so much, Shay. Appreciate that. I love it when people say I'm like down to earth and real and all that kind of stuff, because I think I am. Like, I'm one of those people. I don't know if it's because I've just worked in my career path, if you will, with so many different people, walks of life. I've worked in every type of environment with every different type of person. And I just feel like I have one of those personalities that I can get along with anyone for the most part. Like, I'm not gonna be easily offended. I think I'm easily to kind of connect with in different levels, so I appreciate that. What I'm trying to say is, yeah, I do think I'm a real one actually, so thank you. Oh, you guys can hear Bruce kind of like breathing in the background. Is it sweet or is it disturbing? I honestly, man, my hair looks like a mess. I didn't think he was gonna like curl into a ball, but he ate like almost 3 pounds of meat. I fed him dinner really quick before I hopped on here. So usually it's I go home, we play, I feed him, and then it's like, it's lights out. He wants to cuddle and just like pass out for the night. Let's see. All right, trying to keep up on your questions. Apple Fitness, I don't do anything Apple. I'm an Android girl. That's all I've got is Android. I have a Samsung watch that goes with it. And sorry, I'm so fidgety at nighttime. I'm wicked fidgety on camera too. And does your head just like itch at nighttime after work? Like, it just feels good to itch your head, you know? What else? How long have I been working in a hospital environment? Holy catfish, Batman, a long time. So, excuse me, it's not COVID. I had a rapid test today, you guys. Just a tickle. I graduated in 2005 with my bachelor's degree, and I started working in nursing homes. So that was kind of like my first. I've always had a passion for geriatrics. I know that's a very unsexy field, but I've always loved nursing homes. I've loved working with the geriatric population, doing tube feedings, kind of helping with pressure wounds, with, I loved working, like my favorite patient was like an elderly patient when they were just like an elderly little lady and they couldn't gain weight and they didn't want to eat. And you just kept checking their weekly weigh-ins and hoping you could get some weight on them. I don't know, those were always my favorite clients. But basically since 2015, since 2005, so pretty much for 15 years if you count the nursing home environment. I worked in nursing homes while I completed my master's degree. And then I graduated my master's degree in 2007 and started working at the psychiatric hospital that I still work at till this day. So I've been there for 13 and a half years. So it's a different hospital environment though. I worked in more of like a acute hospital setting when I was doing my undergrad, but I was like a menu tech, so I like went around and like took people's menus and stuff like that. So I wasn't a dietitian in more of like your trauma level hospital, but that was kind of never my cup of tea, honestly. Let's see. Thanks for subscribing, Trippy. Yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel while you're here. YouTube's weird, man. It does weird things. It like unsubscribes people. That's why I always give my little plug to turn on the little notification bell, because a lot of people like my actual friends will be like, I didn't see your videos in my feed because something weird's happening. Oh wow, it's almost 8 o'clock at night. That's why I can't pronounce the words. I got up at 5:45 this morning. It's not super early, but I've been going all day long, so that's why I'm not as well spoken. I'm not as fresh. I like to be a bit more fresh for YouTube. Tiffany asked if I wanted to choose you as a dietitian to help me reach my bikini prep goals. Do you also coach? Not really on the workout side, but maybe with posing help or pointing out what areas I need work in. Yes, I do all of the above. So I help people for competitions either just with the nutrition portion. I do the workout portion too. I'm not a certified personal trainer, however, so I'm never offended if folks want to I just go based on my own experience and knowledge, but I do not have the credentials for that. So I'm never offended if someone else wants to work with another workout coach. But in terms of posing, yeah, I usually require all my clients to send me their posing, how it's looking, videos, things like that. Lisa, I love psyllium fiber, actually. I have a great pancake recipe with that in it. That can help lower cholesterol. Any of your high fiber foods, taking a look at how much fiber you're getting in a day. And sometimes you can't lower cholesterol. You can. I love it when we are able to try it through the diet first. There are some people that just genetically overproduce cholesterol, overproduce bad cholesterol. That's the other thing too. Take a look at with your cholesterol, because I've seen doctors incorrectly give advice to me actually, if they don't actually look at your ratio of HDL and LDL and the good and the bad, the big fluffies and the little dense particles. It makes a difference, which has more of a risk factor in terms of your health. So those play into it too. Cool. We're using Jason's newer camera tonight to live stream, so you'll have to check this out, babe, because we had a little sleep runner.
I was listening to you in the shower, and I could hear him breathing. I'm like, is that with the shower? I could still hear him breathing.
Man, I know. Oh, what a little sweetheart. It's doing everything I got right now to not be cuddling him on that couch. I'm such a crazy dog mom. Ooh, I love this question. Joey asked, what do dietitians think about people that compete? I don't know. I feel like maybe I sound judgy in saying this, but I feel like dietitians are a very judgy field. We get paid to judge you, right? But at the same time, no. I've been in a lot of groups of dietitians where I'll have a couple people, you know, when I was more in my prime, if you will, and actively competing, and they'd be like, I think it's so cool what you're doing, that you compete, that it's on the YouTube, that you're sharing all this. And then you could tell more of your older school ones were just kind of like, what the heck? And now we have like this newer school world of dietitians who's very anti-tracking, body positivity movement, health at every size, who I'm sure would be very anti-bodybuilding and what it takes to get to a bodybuilding stage. At the end of the day, I think it's super cool if you're, you know, keeping your health in mind. I don't think competing's right for everyone, and I've never said it's the healthiest of sports or activities, but it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you if you do want to compete. It's a really cool goal. It's an insane goal that a lot of people can't achieve. That's why I loved marathon running, because it's such an extreme goal that such a small percentage of the population can say they can do. So for me, it was marathon running, and then it was doing the Boston Marathon, and then it was bodybuilding. Like having those goals that seem so unachievable that you're then able to achieve, it's just the coolest thing ever. Like I'm a dork. It gives me cold chills right now. I just think it's the coolest thing ever. And what I'm going to say to that is, you know what? It's not always going to be everyone's cup of tea. So this dietitian will forever have a love for it and know that there is a way that you can do it as healthy as possible. I'm not saying it's always healthy, but there's a means of doing it healthier than others. So a lot of that comes down to good coaching, making sure you're working with a good coach, and not dieting for too long either. So you shouldn't chronically be in a dieting phase one show after another. Your body does need those breaks. Let's see. Typical employee, you missed your monthly cycle while fasting. Should I stop, or is it just a phase? How long were you fasting for, I would say? Sorry, I'm burping from my soda. When you miss a monthly cycle, that's something that you do want to take seriously, especially if that is a sign that something hormonally is not going okay inside of you. And if not dealt with, if not worked on, it could have long-term effects, especially if you're looking to get pregnant at some point in your lifetime. So that is something that I would definitely take a look at. And if fasting is like the one variable there, then I would maybe look to change that, modify it in somehow so it's not as extreme. Not sure if you're doing it for like religious reasons or if it's just intermittent fasting. You'd have to be more specific there. Let's see. You guys got some good questions for me. Yeah, next live we'll all have drinks and apps. Desserts.
No nectar?
No.
Good. No snacks?
No snacks.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I might still wear my holiday pajamas the next time we do a live, even though it'll be after Christmas. I have some really good Christmas jammies this year, so I am not prepared to put those away yet. Ariel Chelsea says they're struggling to eat enough calories. I'm curious what health problems may come of that and how to turn it around. Again, very general. I can only give very general guidance. Health problems with undereating, you could lose weight. You're going to risk potentially not consuming adequate nutrition, adequate micronutrients, vitamins, minerals that your body needs. Whether you're still growing or not, even if you're not, even if you're adult, things that you need so that you are performing on a day-to-day basis, even if you're not an athlete, cognitively speaking, mentally speaking, in your relationships, these nutrient deficiencies can impact you. Will you feel it today, tomorrow, next week? Maybe not, but in the long term, those deficiencies can potentially lead to other chronic health conditions. So if you're not trying to lose weight, you do want to make sure you are eating enough. It's hard to say how to help you eat more, how to turn it around. What is the barrier? Is it that you don't have a good sense of when you're hungry, when you're not hungry? Maybe you just need to find some more caloric options if volume is the issue. If you can't beef up your meals or eat more frequently, what I usually tell folks to do is for the meals that you are eating, we have to be a bit more strategic with choosing more higher caloric type foods, if you will. Having fat-free salad dressings or fat-free items, nope. We don't need those, trying to get those calories in, and if possible, making sure that they do come from things that provide you some nourishment. Now, there are supplements that you can take out there. You can check out tigerfitness.com. They have some new gainer type products with that Big O company I mentioned earlier. They do have a gainer products you could take, some gainer bars, the Big O bars, things like that are a bit more calorically dense, pack a bit more bang for your buck. That might help you out. Again, just very general advice, not knowing much about the situation. Ebony says she's struggling with constipation. Metamucil not working. Should I try fiber gummies? You might want to look at Metamucil you can kind of get used to. Your body gets used to it where you stop responding to it. You definitely want to look at what types of fiber you have coming in through your diet, what sources you have, things like adding in maybe some prunes at nighttime. They're actually really tasty. Or some oat bran, things like psyllium fiber, psyllium husk, things like that. I find taking it at nighttime helpful with a lot of water. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, bickety bam, you've got your results. I try not to recommend to folks to get too used to or dependent on fiber supplementation if not necessary. If you're finding that you have to be dependent on fiber supplementation, whether it's gummies, Metamucil, you may want to talk to your doctor about it just to see if there's anything else going on. But first, do a check-in with yourself. Take a look at where your fiber's at. The times that I've been really constipated, I look and I'm like, I had 7 grams of fiber. And I had 12 grams of fiber. So make sure you're getting in enough fiber, drinking enough fluid, moving around enough. Some of those things can really help you out first before going to the supplements. Jim Cliff, I don't understand that question. Is it bad to drink lots of diluted squash? I'm not trying to be a J-hole. Is that like a true question though? I've never heard of such a thing. Ashley Esparza, I do like to read, and honestly, I really have been bad at it. I was doing really good with Audible because I'm in my car so much, and because I like to read and don't feel like I have the time. Audible is a great option for me, so I was doing a lot more Audible books, but I haven't been just sitting down and reading a book. I love the idea of just like getting away for a week, getting a book, getting a bunch of books, and sitting on the beach and reading. Like, that would be like a good vacation to me. Just like unbothered, bronzing with sunscreen, but reading some good books. Some of these are repeat questions. Whoa, okay. So I'm probably going to wrap it up here pretty soon because we've been on over an hour and it's approaching my bedtime. It's past his bedtime. But I do want to do some videos for you guys coming up. I usually like to do kind of like a 2020 wrap up. I was thinking about maybe talking about some of the things I've learned in 2020, some of what's gone on in my life in 2020. But then I also like to do like my food and nutrition topics and trends coming into the new year, what I think we're gonna see, what I think needs to die and stay in the past. So if you guys want to see those videos, let me know too. I think it's been a really trying time for a lot of us, being the pandemic and now entering in the winter months, the holidays. Maybe some of our traditions we're not able to have, things that we looked forward to. Maybe the only thing you had to look forward to has now been stripped away from you. So it is a really challenging year. And if there's one thing I can say from my dietitian perspective, it's to give yourself the grace that you need. Like, there are different periods of our lives different journeys that we're on, and you may not be your fittest right now. Maybe you haven't been making the best choices. You know, maybe you haven't been working out as much as you once did. Beating yourself up is not going to be the answer. It's not. So give yourself the grace. And I'm not saying make excuses either, because we can all do a little better. We can all do more. But just, there's no need to beat yourself up. There's a time and a place to be your fittest, you know? And I think for 2020, it just hasn't been it for a lot of us. Your bodies maybe have changed. Your weights maybe changed. Don't worry about that stuff. Don't worry about the numbers. Think about your health. I'm truly saying that to you. This is not a sales tactic. Focus on your health. How is your health? Have you gone to the doctor? Have you gotten labs drawn? Are you in good health? If you're in good health, then don't worry so much about not fitting into your smaller size jeans, the fact that you're not getting to the gym right now, the fact that you don't even have access to a gym. Let those things go right now. Focus on what's really important. And I think 2020 really has shown a lot of us. It's kind of stripped away a lot of the BS and shown us more what's really important. At least that's something I've kind of taken away from this past year. So I hope that message finds you well, you guys, because I know this time of year can be challenging, but we've got a new year coming. I don't know if it's going to be a heck of a lot different, but I'm going to stay positive minded about it, and I hope you guys do the same. And yeah, I think I'm going to end the video here. I know I didn't get to all your questions, but if you guys like these, I'll plan to do them more. Also, make sure you follow me on Instagram too. I do a lot of Q&As over there. You guys have been really liking those as well. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed, and Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you till after then. I hope you guys have a good one. I'm going to go snuggle on that big snorer behind me, and I'll see you guys